Hello, and welcome. Today, we'll be going over my review of The Legend of Nayuta Boundless Trails. Is this connected to the main series? Well, we'll discuss that later. And, plenty of other random theories that popped up into my head. Some truly, unhinged. For now, let's take a trip to Remnant Isle, bask in the peaceful rays of the sun, and listen to the gentle waves as they caress the sandy shore, while I talk about my time with this lovely game. First, I figured, let's go over the music. Honestly, this might have been my favorite aspect of the game. Just, here, take a listen.
Signa, look!
Oh.
It's a meteor shower. Ah, so beautiful. And it's right over Remnant Isle.
Wasn't that magical? But wait, there's more! I was going to originally make a separate video on this, but I figured we could all listen to it here. This is a track called Foot of the Mountain Struck by Lightning, which, as the name might suggest to some of you more aware of the naming schemes of the various Trails games, you'll notice that specifically in Sky's second chapter, there was a track associated with a certain character titled A Gravestone Struck by Lightning. Is this a sequel? Well, who knows? But yeah, the music overall sounds very reminiscent of Sky the Third and Zero. We're not going to listen to the whole thing. We're just going to get to a certain point. Anyway, let's just go. Oh man, this track is so good. Oh, when I first got to this level, it's so sick, and there's lightning everywhere, striking the ground. It's crazy, man. I feel like Kevin needs a guitar at this point. Oh man. Oh, just that shredding on the sides. This part right here. Oh my gosh. It goes so hard. Wait, does it do the... Oh, it does! Oh! Yeah. Okay. Oh, I want to let it finish. Okay, yeah, it looped. Okay, it looped. And if you don't know what that melody is from, it is from a track in Sky the Third called Masquerade of Lies. This part. Oh. This is probably one of my favorite songs from Sky the Third. Oh man. Oh, it is just power metal to the extreme. Heck yeah! Okay, that's enough. That's enough. Oh, I just wanted to share that with you guys. That's all. I think that's awesome. Obviously, it's just one of Takashita's tracks that wasn't used, where he just sampled that melody from. But still, I think it's awesome that they included it anyway. Well, now that you're all amped up, let's get back to the review. Momiyama, Sanada, and Unisuga were the main composers for this game. And they also used some of Osaki and Takashita's leftovers, since they were gone from the sound team before this game entered production. Nayuta had actually begun development in 2010, during the middle of Zero's development, which is probably why a lot of the tracks use similar sounding leitmotifs, or just sound like they're ripped straight from Zero in general. There's even a couple of tracks that have Cold Steel vibes, and I swear one of the tracks is directly a battle theme from Cold Steel 1, so that was pretty interesting to recognize. Also, if you're interested, the Nayuta section on the Composer Breakdown project is very fascinating. I'll have a link in the description for those who are curious. Let's talk about the story next. The story is very simple, but enjoyable. The twists were interesting, and one of them actually caught me completely off guard. Also, kudos to the game for fueling me with insanely crazy theories. Oh man, seriously. Watching the bright-eyed and inquisitive Nayuta slowly unravel the truths of the world was a very fun experience. As far as characters go, if you're expecting Trails levels of depth, you won't necessarily find it here. The main cast is executed fairly well for how simple their motives and desires are, and the main villain did feel intimidating, and he also has quite the epic theme.
I did not expect children to be here. Oh Lord, still causing me trouble. How dare you take the last Master Gear over to this side?
I can definitely imagine a few scenes in later Trails games, Cold Steel 3 and 4, where you could use that to great effect. In regards to a certain character, let us write an end to this wretched fairy tale, in ink black as despair. I cannot do his voice justice at all. Also, the post-game ending actually managed to make me tear up a little. It was just a very well done scene, and the piano track that they played was simply phenomenal. It all leads back to music with me, huh? What can I say? I love BGM. On the topic of characters, there was a fight scene early on that really gave me Agate and Louve vibes from Sky SC. It was pretty rad. As far as NPCs go, they do change up their dialogue fairly often, like in a typical Trails game, and keeping up with them was definitely a pleasant experience. There's even a Barrel-esque NPC who spouts cryptic words of things to come, which sent my mind into a frenzy, just trying to put the puzzle pieces together and fit them into the overarching plot of, well, everything. Oh man, that was a fun time. A lot of the NPCs also have full body portraits for very brief moments of dialogue, which was very nice to see, which I do kinda wish they had kept using portraits for the Cold Steel games instead of just giving you the random in-game 3D shots of them. It worked in Persona 5, there's no reason it can't work in these games, but that's an issue for another time. Also, the two shopkeepers had unique animations for when you were browsing their selection, buying something, or even backing out of the purchase window. It's a little thing, but as a Trails fan, I definitely appreciate the smaller details. During each chapter, you can also find Mishi hiding in a random location. Playing hide and seek was never so fun. It did make me wonder though, Mishi had to exist in Zemuria at one point in order for him to be the mascot of Michelum. So, did they go extinct? Are they just insanely rare and hard to find? Is Mishi secretly Adios? I don't know, but it's definitely one of the 7 great mysteries of Zemuria, that's for sure. Next up, onto the graphics. This one will be pretty quick. I think the environments themselves are beautiful, and the blend of 3D and 2D objects looked very appealing to me. I do wonder if this is what Cold Steel was originally going to look like, or if this was just a testing ground of sorts for all kinds of various things. One thing I adored was the various weapons and armor actually being shown on Nayuta in the game. Even Noi gets to join in on the fun. Adorable. I do wish we could choose to turn this off, or at least pick which armor set was shown. Sort of like the Glamour system in Final Fantasy XIV, or the outfit system in Xenoblade Chronicles 3, for examples. Especially since some of the armor sets are really cool to look at, but become redundant once you find the next higher tier. Same with weapons as well. Alright, now we're at the gameplay section. This is probably the second biggest highlight of the game. For me. Can I just add this was the perfect game to play on the Switch? It was so easy to pick up and run through a level in like 10 minutes and then put it back down again. I definitely did that a few times while editing some videos. Sometimes you just need a quick break, and this game was perfect for that. Now into the actual gameplay. It's fairly standard hack and slash combat, with some light platforming and puzzle segments. Noi acts as your mage, and she casts arts, which are fun to mix into your combos when you're wailing on some mobs. There is one art in particular that can slow down time and simultaneously gives you a pretty big boost to your strength. It was very OP, especially against certain groups of enemies and especially bosses. Thankfully the bosses all have anywhere from 3 to 4 different stages, so you can't just use that ability and quickly end a fight. The enemies never felt too hard or difficult to overcome, but the boss fights definitely were fairly challenging. And well, when all else failed, there was one strategy that always came in clutch. Spin to win, baby. Kevin, roll the montage. As you fight enemies, you'll gather monster parts and various collectibles. Monster parts can be taken to Nayuta's sister, Eartha, and she can turn them into portable lunchboxes, which act as healing items. Or you can choose to eat them right away, which is a great way to power level Nayuta, since certain dishes you unlock, especially later, give you loads of EXP. There's also a dog you can adopt in the game, and I highly suggest you do that ASAP. You do this by purchasing the doghouse item from the general store, and then speaking to Nora on the beach by the graveyard, which she becomes available once you reach a certain point in the story. She'll gather items for you as you complete runs of various levels, which is a fantastic way to earn money early on, passively. You can then take all the collectibles you, collect on your journey to the museum and trade them in for Mira. What's cool about this is that all the items you give them are placed into various exhibits, and it's really cool to just go in and look at them once you've collected a substantial amount. This aspect of the game reminded me greatly of the museum feature from Animal Crossing games, which I wonder if someone on the team was inspired by that gameplay element. It's possible. Speaking of elements, what's cool about the levels is that they're all based on the 4 seasons: spring, summer, autumn, and winter, respectively. Each season changes the layout of each level and the enemies and rewards you can find within. This gave me big Oracle of Seasons flashbacks for all my fellow Zelda fans out there. It was cool seeing how each level was affected differently by the elements, and exploring them multiple times actually never felt repetitive to me. For each level you can get rewarded up to 3 stars upon completion, 1 for beating the level, 1 for finding all the crystals hidden around the map, and another for completing a stage-specific challenge like defeat 30 enemies or don't get hit more than 10 times. Upon reaching a certain level of stars, you can unlock new moves, equipment, and abilities by speaking and training with Master Orbis, who's totally not Master Ericus from Birth by Sleep. Which this did fuel my completionist sense, as I actually felt compelled to 100% this game. I might go back and do that at some point. I typically don't, but who knows. I do have one little complaint in regards to the controls. Some of the maps and the layouts could be a bit annoying to deal with, especially certain platforming segments, where you either had to be insanely accurate with timing your jumps, or just sometimes one of the abilities was just so finicky That sometimes it would work and sometimes it wouldn't, which would send me plummeting to my doom many times. Luckily I didn't really die all that often. I think I only got one game over. But yeah, those lunchboxes definitely come in handy. Well, before we move into the spoiler section, I figured I'd leave my final thoughts here. This is definitely a budget game. There's no arguing there. But personally, I very much enjoyed my time with Nayuta. It had this old school Falcom charm that really drew me in, plus the game only being about 20-25 hours, while also being incredibly easy to play in short bursts, really helped influence my enjoyment factor quite a bit. All in all, if you haven't played this game yet, and you're an Ys or Trails fan, I think it's definitely worth your time. The game is around $40, and just recently it went on sale on Steam for just a little over $30. But if you get lucky and find a used physical copy at a local game store, you might be able to snag it for cheaper. So keep an eye out. Oh man, I long await the day when I can finally say,
This world has been connected.
But for now, this is just a fun side game that's not a huge commitment and has some fun little Easter eggs and references nestled away inside. For this final section, I'll be discussing theories that will inadvertently spoil certain events of Cold Steel 3, 4, Reverie, and also Nayuta. So if you're clicking off here, I just wanted to say thank you for listening to my review. I hope this was enjoyable and that I've possibly convinced you to play this game at some point in the future if you haven't already. Feel free to leave a like on the video on your way out, subscribe if you'd like to see more content from yours truly, and most importantly, take care of yourselves, and I hope to see you again soon. Bye. Okay, are they gone yet? Can I speak freely? Can I talk about theories now? Okay, oh geez, where am I gonna even start? This section will probably be a bit more relaxed, a little lighter on editing, just to save me some time. I have a bunch of theories I wrote down. Some of them are a bit unhinged. They're a bit crazy. Just things that I randomly thought of as I was playing the game. Things that very quickly got debunked, but I still figured I'd mention them because it's fun. I guess I should start by saying I haven't watched any other Nayuta reviews aside from Kevin Street's, nor have I seen any theory videos on possible connections to this game. So most of what I came up with has probably already been said somewhere, but yeah, I still figured this would be a fun thing to do. I do know that people have stated Kreha and the Grandmaster look fairly similar, which they do. And Kondo himself stated that any resemblance was just a coincidence. Sure, Falcom. And Cold Steel 3 is the perfect entry point into the series. We're picking up what you're putting down. Am I calling Falcom a bunch of liars? Well...
You calling me a liar? I ain't calling you a truther.
I've been wanting to use that meme for a long time. Anyway, let's just read some of the more unhinged theories I came up with. So when I first saw Kreha in the little cradle, and I saw the one next to her was empty, and part of the gear mechanism statue thing was broken, I was like, oh, what if that's the Grandmaster? What if they were twins, and she was sent to an alternate universe, or she was flung into the far future? And no, that was literally Salam. It was her brother. That one got debunked fairly quickly. I was like, man, that would have been cool. Oh yeah, the quest involving the moonlit birds, which are literally just penguins, where you have to take the eggs and you have to put them somewhere and hatch them to keep the species alive. I was like, oh gosh, what if Nayuta inadvertently let loose all the killer penguins that we meet in our future adventures? What if that was all his doing? Curse you, Nayuta. Okay, this is my favorite unhinged theory I came up with. So what if the reason that no one's been able to find Ouroboros' hideout is because the celestial globe is located on the moon? I know, that's a crazy theory, right? I thought of it once the revelation came about that Terra was actually the false moon orbiting Earth. They don't call it Zemuria, they call it Earth. But then you find Zemurian ore. So, I don't know. So yeah, I was like, what better place to put your hideout than a literal physical area that no one currently has the level of technology needed to even access. Now, it could be just something simple as, it's just in a separate pocket dimension created by some sort of artifact or something. But I like my theory a lot more. I like the idea of it being on the moon. I think that'd be cool. Okay, now we're going to the more normal theories. Yeah, they state in the beginning there's an end to this world. Like how we find out in Zemuria that, there's this, you go to the edge of the earth and you can't go any further. Almost like there's this barrier blocking you. Calm down, Lloyd. It's not that kind of barrier. Oh yeah, there were scenes where you would be traveling to and from the garden, which kind of gave me like traveling the spirit path vibes from Cold Steel 2 with Valimar. Oh yeah, the egg models in one of the final dungeons are literally the same model used for the Grawl of Erebos in Cold Steel 3. Could they secretly be related? Could they just be reused assets? The world may never know. But it did say that those creatures came from those eggs that you saw once you came down the elevator, so I don't know. Could be something freaky going on. Could just be reused assets. It's probably reused assets, but, theories. Not just any theory, a game theory. Oh, okay. No MatPat references in my videos. Yup, that's gonna be what I'm aiming for. I'm gonna be the next MatPat. Oh gosh. No, I don't have it in me. He's a special breed of YouTuber, man. Massive kudos to that guy. He has like 5 channels. He is a machine, regardless of what you think of him. So nothing but respect to him. Okay, yeah, they did mention an empire. I'm talking to the director of the museum. And there were those NPCs that came from the Empire, but they never specified any kind of name. So, is it Erebonia? Is it just some other ancient empire? Is it what Erebonia was in the past? Is it some other alternate universe Erebonia? Who knows? I tried to think of something around the disease that Eartha got inflicted with, because they were so close to the barrier. I couldn't think of any other illness in the Trails series that would be a direct connection to that, but what if it was similar to the depletion of the dragon veins and the desertification in eastern Zemuria? What if it's somehow tied into that, where because the energy of the planet was diminishing, that's what was going to cause its inevitable destruction? What if the energy of that planet is essentially just, sort of like the septium veins, and when the energy diminishes, it sort of causes all kinds of catastrophes and plagues and whatnot. It's kind of a stretch, I know, but it was the only thing I could really think of. I almost didn't even want to bring this one up because it's the most obvious one. Nayuta and Eartha. Their last name is Herschel. Are they related to Toa and her family? Are they their sort of great ancestors? Are they just simply Herschels from a different world line, a different timeline, a different alternate universe? There was that weapon that Toa could get in, was it Reverie or Cold Steel 4?
No, that's wrong!
I forget which one, but it was called Nayuta. So is Falcom drawing parallels, or are they just are they just messing with us? Probably. Kreia looking so much at the Grandmaster, I already went over that. Alright, yeah, it could be a disguise, or something to prevent her true form from unveiling itself, because that's what McBurn mentioned. He was like, oh, that's not your true form, something along those lines. And he was like, oh, but if I say what you actually are, you would lose your disguise. So I mean, could she be Adios? Could she be some kind of overseer to the world? I was thinking in some sense, sort of like the overseers from the Drakengard series, where their jobs are literally to just watch over the world. Because then what would Campanella be? Would Campanella be sort of like an administrator? Is that maybe his role? Is he sort of like Noi, where he's an administrator to the Grandma? Because we still don't know what Campanella is. They did just straight up ask him, oh, are you a homunculus? Like, Altina and Milliam? And he was like, haha, close, but no cigar. I don't know why I did that random accent. Oh, speaking of Drakengard, I almost forgot. When you first get back to Remnant Isle, and you see all the ash all over the floor. Oh man, my brain immediately went to Nier. Yeah, I was like, oh no, this is bad. And when I walked into the Stargazer's Tavern and saw no one there, I even checked the rooms upstairs and they were empty. And my heart sunk. I was like, no, please no. No, everybody was fine. Everybody was just out in the middle of the town. Speaking of Nier and Drakengard, I wonder if the Salt Pail is kind of similar to that in a sense. Huh. That's an interesting perspective to think about, I guess. Okay, yeah, there's the Stargazer Tavern and Inn, which is, you know, a direct reference to Stargazer's Tower from Zero. Is there a possible connection there? I don't think so. Maybe it could be just some kind of name that's passed down, some kind of ancient name. The Upina herbs. I wrote down if they've had any possible connection to pleroma grass, blino flowers, or the flowers that we find blooming on the mountain path near Hamel. Probably not. They're probably just herbs specifically for this game. Those flowers don't really have any crazy healing powers. The pleroma grass has the opposite effect. It literally turns people into demons. Oh gosh. Go over this one real quick too. Kreha's Waterlight Crest, and I guess Salam's as well, that Zext eventually takes and reforms into one whole crest. They do seem very similar to Stigmas from the Trail series, in which they offer the wielder insane powers. Zext did mention that his species, the people of Mythos, when they die, their bodies dissolve and they turn back into stardust and get scattered around the universe or something to that effect. So could that be the origin of the stigma? That some of that stardust found its way into Zemuria and sort of infused certain people with those powers? Or maybe it integrated itself with the resetting of the world. Sort of like a certain thing from Daybreak that I won't mention. And I don't want to spoil Daybreak. That was an interesting thought that crossed my mind. Okay, yeah, the symbol on the astrolabe is kind of similar to the Ouroboros symbol. I wonder if that has any kind of overarching connection. And then the last thing I wrote down here was, could the Nayuta world be one of the reset worlds from ancient times, or does it exist in a separate plane? Because they talk about the other side, and they talk about, you know, when certain demons or entities come in, it's like, oh, they're coming in through the other side because of the power of the septium veins. So I do wonder if Nayuta is one of the ancient Zemurian civilizations, or if it's just a parallel world to Zemuria that's just either occurring at the same time, or if it's in this alternate dimension. See, that's where things get a little confusing when you start dealing with alternate worlds and alternate timelines and alternate realities and all kinds of just like different planes of existence and dimensions, and that's where my brain kind of fizzles out. I'm like, whoa, that's a little too much for me to handle. I tried to draw a similar comparison to Twui of The World Ends With You, where the noise exists in the same world, it's just on a separate plane of existence, so that the humans who are on the lowest plane can't interact with it, but the people who are in the NG, you know, the people who are dead, who are participating in the Reaper game, the noise is sort of able to bleed into their plane of existence. So yeah, that was all my theories. I hope I got out everything I wanted to say. That's all I wrote down, and of course I ad-libbed a bunch of stuff. I already technically did my outro, so I don't necessarily know how to end this part. If you wanna leave your own theories in the comments, you know, make sure to mark them as spoilers and such. But anyway, yeah, thanks for hanging out with me. If you're still here, this video was a lot of fun to make. It took a while. Yeah, hopefully you guys enjoyed it. Hopefully you enjoyed some of my crazy theories. I don't know if they're crazy or not, but you know. And I greatly look forward to what the Trails series has in store for us in the future. Of course, I haven't played through Kuro 2 yet. Kuro 3 is more than likely on the horizon, so that's an exciting prospect to think about. And just thinking of what lies beyond, I hope we get an Arteria arc soon. That's what I really want. I want an arc focused on the church, where you end up, the MCs from the church, all your members are various Gralsritter, either, you know, dominions, knights, squires, That's the kind of game I want. And you end up going off and doing all kinds of like secret missions and fighting off all the different organizations in the world. Oh man. Anyway, before I start rambling, I'm gonna end this here. Thanks for hanging out with me, and I hope to see you again, well, whenever I see you. And I hope you stick around. I'm just having fun, cruising along, talking about whatever I feel like talking about. Living the dream. Oh man. Well, until next time, peace out.
All right, what's next?